one guy who knows a lot about this sport, is the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We are so pleased to be joined on the phone line now by James Lott. James, how are you today?
Good, guys. How's it going today?
Oh, not bad. Just another day in paradise here in Texas. When I ask you every week to kind of highlight a couple of guys in the upcoming class or a couple of recruits you want to talk about, and this week you sent me 3 safeties. When you look at the defensive back class in the class of 2017, is it particularly strong, particularly weak? What do you think?
I think it's a pretty good class. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's. I think it's right there in the middle. But a couple of the people that I really think stand out this year, and the main guy that everybody's talking about out there is the kid Jeffrey Okuda from South Grand Prairie. Big kid, can run, excellent athlete. This kid's like 6'2", 200, runs a 4.40. And the thing that's most impressive about this kid for me is the fact that he's a great athlete, but he's in the toughest district in the state of Texas, probably in the country, with the likes of DeSoto and the people they play every week. And this kid stands apart as one of the better athletes that I saw last year. Like I said, big, can run. He plays running back. And here's another thing. A lot of folks are recruiting him as a safety, but I've seen this kid play corner, long, can run, can cover. And that type of guy is what colleges are looking for to kind of match up these days with the bigger wide receivers. Smart kid, highly academic kid, 3.7 GPA. But a no-miss kid for every school out there in the country. And honestly, a lot of people are talking about Marvin Wilson from Episcopal being the top prospect in the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. I think Jeffrey Okuda is just brings more to the table, and before it's all said and done, he will be the top player in the state.
You know, I'm glad you brought up the corner and safety thing, because that's something I'm very interested in. Obviously, we talk so much about these hybrid positions that if you're a linebacker, you got to be able to cover. If you're a defensive end, you've got to be able to stop the run. That we're getting the more hybrid positions. When you're looking at a defensive back, what are you looking for as far as delineating between a guy who you say, okay, this kid's a safety, or this guy's a corner?
Right. What you look for is whether or not he can. Let's talk about corner first.
Yeah.
We're looking for a guy that can run, can flip his hips, can change directions, can transition in and out of his back pedal to run and transition and run with wide receivers. That in itself is a specialty position that, there's not a lot of people that can play corner. But then as a safety, you're looking for more of a guy who's got a lot of those intangibles also, but more is a rangy guy that can cover ground, that's tall, that can intercept footballs, can play center field, and be a guy that can a smart player that can make checks in the defense and get the defense in the right plays. But so overall the positions are similar, but they're a little bit different. But these are all kids that I think that can make an impact immediately at the next level.
Another guy that you highlighted when we were talking a little bit earlier, Derek Tucker, the safety out of Manville, a guy with a ton of offers, already 11 offers, including Texas, TCU, LSU, and so on. When you watch Derek Tucker on film, or when you watch him in a camp, what really stands out about this kid?
They're similar players, him and Jeffrey Okuda, but they're different. And when I say different, I think Derek Tucker's more of a guy that you're going to play down in the box. He's more of a physical guy. Not saying that Okuda isn't physical, but Derek's has less range. He's not got the foot speed that Okuda has, but he's more of a box guy that's going to be down near the line of scrimmage. A guy that plays in an 8-man front that can tackle and be physical and take on elite play and things like that, but more of an outside linebacker, strong safety type guy at the next level, and not. I don't think he has quite the range as Okudah, but nevertheless a top player and one of the best prospects in the state.
And of course, he comes from a program down there in Manville, which puts out big-time prospect after big-time prospect. How much do coaches pay attention to that? How much do coaches pay attention to the past as far as a particular program putting out quality players?
I think it's huge because when you go into a program like a Manville, like a Cedar Hill, like a DeSoto, what you know you're going to get is you're going to get a kid that's ever since he was 8th, 9th grade, he's had to compete. So he's always competed against the best players in the country. I think it was Derek Tucker's freshman year is when he played his first year on the varsity squad. Well, he was surrounded by, 3 or 4 other Division I caliber players that went on to play at major Power 5 schools. So he was being tutored and groomed and saw that work ethic of what it takes to be a top DB in the country. So I think it makes a big difference when you look at that and you know you're going into a program that consistently puts out kids that know how to compete at the next level.
We're talking with James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Here on DCTF Live, get involved in the conversation and hashtag DCTF Live. Another guy you mentioned down in the Houston area, Grant Delpit, the safety out of Houston, Lamar, obviously very well coached there from Tom Nolan, a guy who's already got a handful of offers, 19 offers to be exact. When you watch Grant Delpit, this is a guy who's obviously got great pedigree. What stands out about him?
Grant's an interesting guy. He's what I would consider a riser. When I say a riser, every day he's rising up the recruiting ladder where more and more people are getting interest in him. But if you watch him and you turn on the film immediately, he's the guy that you want in the center field. He's your guy that you want that back deep as a free safety that's tall, that's rangy, that can intercept balls, that can cover some ground, that can tackle in space, or a guy that if you need to can spin down in the box and he's a good tackler. He can cover that slot receiver if needed. But one of the most interesting things about this kid, he is a very, very strong academic kid. I think his mom's a lawyer. His dad's actually, I think, an ATF agent.
Jeez.
And as you look at his list of schools, the Baylors, the LSUs, Oklahomas, Texas, keep your eye out for this kid to be possibly an Ivy League guy because his parents are really, really strong in the academics. So the Yales and the Harvards, and I think he got an offer from both of them here recently, have kind of come into the fold as possibilities. And LSU, on the other hand, is a school that the kid had some interest in because, of course, he's actually a Louisiana kid that moved from Louisiana to Texas. So he's got those ties there to Louisiana. But a very, very rangy kid that's going to be a highly touted guy that I think is a riser, and at the end of the day, is going to be one of the top guys in the country before it's all out.
And when you look across the state at the state of these college football programs on the FBS level, you see a lot of offensive-minded squads. You see, Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU to a certain extent, Houston for sure. A few others that are very offensively minded. When they're going in and recruiting these defensive guys, does that make their sell job a little bit harder?
I think it. I think it does in a way because they're not always where you have Texas. That's a defensive-minded school that, of course, goes in and it's all about defense. So you would think they would have the advantage. But I think these schools all do such a great job in these high schools with these relationships with these coaches. each time they go into a household, they've got to overcome scenarios where they got to talk about their positives and their weaknesses. And I think at the end of the day, the positives of going to a Baylor, or the positives of going to TCU, although they may not in the past be a place where it is necessarily defensive mind, but, you know, in the long run, those kids know they can go somewhere and get a great education and have a great college football playing experience.
He is James Lott. He's the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. He joins us every Tuesday here on DCTF Live. James, appreciate your time, and we will catch up again next week.
Okay. Thanks for having me, guys.